My name is Victor Frome. I came in the military, into the U.S. Army back in 1962, October 62, and I retired from the, I came in as a private. I left the military when I retired as a major in May of 1983.
Now, did you enlist or were you drafted?
I was enlisted. I enlisted and I enjoyed every bit of it. Went to basic training in Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Tell me why you enlisted. Why did you decide to do that?
Well, at that time I did not have a high school education. And every time I asked for a job, they would ask me a couple of questions. Do you have your high school education? And I said, nope. And then they asked me if, in fact, I had my military experience over. And I said no. So I said the best thing for me to do is go into the military, get my experience, and see what I could do.
And you were in the Army. What was your MOS? What was your job?
Okay, from Fort Knox, Kentucky, basic, I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri to become a combat engineer. And that's, if I remember right, 12 Bravo. And from there I went to Fort Campbell, Kentucky to support the 39th Engineer Battalion, which supported the 101st Airborne. And then after a stint there, I went over to Europe, to Frankfurt, Germany, or Hanau, Germany, with the 23rd Engineer Battalion. And spent 3 years there. Met my first wife, being a lonely GI over in another country. And we got married. We had 2 beautiful kids.
Was she a German?
She was German, yes.
Interesting. So 3 years in Frankfurt?
Well, you better put Hanau. It's Hanau, Germany.
In Hanau, Germany?
Yeah.
And then you end up, did you end up over in Vietnam?
No, I did not. They gave me a choice. I was an E5 at the time, and he says, look, you can go to Vietnam as a combat engineer, and since you have enough qualifications to go to OCS, because at that time I had my high school education, and I passed all the exams, and they said, you can become an officer. So you have a choice. Go to as a combat engineer or sergeant, or you can go to Vietnam as an officer, but you have to first be trained as an officer for 6 months at Fort Benning, Georgia. So I selected the latter of the two. I said, if I'm going to be shot at, I might as well get some more additional money. So that's what I did. From Europe, then I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, rigorous training there for 6 months. And I received my commission back in April of 1976, or I'm sorry, 1967. Got the years wrong. But, man, it's been a beautiful career ever since.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here,
Go
Victor.
ahead.
It's been a long career. Give me a highlight. Give me maybe a moment or a day that maybe sticks with you more than some of the other moments.
A couple of things. Number one is the training. Well, being a company commander as a second lieutenant of a 600+ man unit, which was unusual. The other thing is the training I went through at jungle school at Fort Gulick, Panama Canal Zone, was a unique type of training. And the most drastic experience I had was fighting the war in Vietnam as an infantry officer. Even though I was out in the field only for about 3 months, it was still very, very dramatic. I lost one man, unfortunately, but fortunately it was only one man, because during the Attendefets of a 68, which I was there then, the people in my position, they would lose up to a dozen people. Yeah.
I'm going to go through each of those real quickly. We'll kind of hit each of those real quick. Let's start out with company commander. You said of about 600 men?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Well, I had about 200 of the people were ex-officer candidates. They went to the OCS at Signal OCS, and they flunked out because of medical reasons, because of physical reasons, or some other reason. And they had to put him someplace, so they put him within my unit. And I had about 200 advanced individual people going to advanced individual training for Signal, and then I had about 200 permanent party people. The uniqueness about the ex-officer candidates is I come up with a program working with the installation to find positions for them to work in where they could use their skills, because most of them were college graduates.
Did you get quite a bit of satisfaction out of working with?
Oh yes, I did.
With the guys?
Definitely a satisfaction, yeah. And
did they teach you anything?
They taught me that it's a lot of work.
Now tell me about your jungle training. That was in Panama?
Panama Canal Zone, yes. I left Fort North Carolina. We flew from North Carolina in October, flew down to the Panama Canal Zone, and it was cold in North Carolina, but down there it was so extremely hot and humid it would just take your breath away when you get off the plane. But the training was very unique. We had to go down 90-foot waterfalls with a body rappel. In other words, you would have one rope and you'd have to go all the way down to the bottom of the waterfall. Of course, we had one man that fell at part of that drop down, and he was injured. And then we had to eat poison food, or we had to figure out how to eat the food when it's poisoned, how to prepare it. And we had to eat some weird meat, like the three meats that really come to my mind. The worst was monkey meat because it's so stringy and tough, and the other one was shark meat. It had no flavor to it whatsoever. The best was rat meat, of all things. It was a muskrat, and it was enjoyable. Not really.
Not all soldiers went through jungle training, right?
No.
What was the criteria, or what determined?
Criteria would be the people in a leadership role. You would have the opportunity to go down there, and what's good about it is it would really prepare you for Vietnam, for survival. And those people usually that would go through that would be the infantry officers, because they could be lost in the jungle. The Air Force, they had some kind of survival school, but I don't know if it was down in Panama Canal Zone or where. But and then you got your special forces. They go through portions of jungle survival school also, and of course they have all kinds of other type of trainings that they go through.
So you were there primarily due to your rank in your position?
Doing my position as infantry officer, and being a leader, because you had to. When the men in combat, when they needed help, you would have to basically show them or teach them what to do if, in fact, there's no food.
How long did that training last?
3 weeks. 3 weeks of hell on earth. It was something else.
Now you did end up over in Vietnam for a short period of time. Is
no,
that correct?
Vietnam was 1 year. 1 year. First, in Vietnam, the first 3 months, I was a platoon leader, and the man I replaced, we were the first day out in the field. My first day out in the field, he was shot in the mouth and also in the leg, and he was evacuated. And I had to take over the platoon that day. I was supposed to OJT for a couple of weeks before, but it happened that day. And then after that, I became the battalion adjutant because I was so familiar with administrative procedures, and they had me become the battalion adjutant. The worst part of that position was I had to also identify the American troops as they were either killed or wounded, and that really, in a way, affected my life. And then the last thing in Vietnam, I became the brigade assistant adjutant, which was really almost a cushy job in Vietnam, but that was only for about 4 or 5 months.
What is the one thing that you remember most about Vietnam?
The one man I lost. The one man I lost. Unfortunately, it was only one man, but fortunately, it wasn't as much as a lot of other leaders experienced. They would lose up to 12 people. That's a lot.
Would you like to share?
It just hurt me.
Would you like to share his name with us?
Oh, his name is, well, we called him Hippie, okay? His last name is Helpin. I think his first name was James. But he was a funny guy. The reason why they call him Hippie is because when he came in the Army, he had his long hair. and they cut it all off. And of course, being a soldier, you're bald-headed. And he wanted to make everybody happy. He played Santa Claus at Christmas time when we had the Christmas truce. The Viet Cong or North Vietnamese were not supposed to fight us, or we weren't supposed to fight them for one day. And here he was. We put shaving cream on him. He took the ugliest sea rations that nobody else wanted. He put them in a bag and give them to the first sergeant, give it to the company commander. It was just a funny, nice time when we needed some relief from all the pressure.
You have a long list of medals that you've been awarded throughout your career.
Tell me, all in my head.
tell me which one means the most to you.
Probably it's not really a medal. It's the Combat Infantryman's Badge. The only people that awarded that are those people that are actually fighting their infantry, and they have to be in combat for over 30 days, or initially whenever you're fired upon the enemy. The other thing is the Purple Heart. The Purple Heart's been important for me. Of course, I don't want to go into any of the details of being wounded, but it means so much to me. And, well, as you can see, I got medals like the Bronze Star and Meritorious Service Medal, Army Commendation Medal. Got quite a few medals.
I want to ask you one last question. Before I do that, though, is there anything we missed that you'd like to share with us?
Oh, well, one thing that really helped me out with my career, both in the military and civilian sector, is following the trilogy of the mission, the people, and then yourself. That is so important for anyone to make any kind of success out of their life. Think of the overall mission, be it a business or be it in the military. And then you have to think of your people first, and then you think of yourself. That's the way things will work very, very nicely.
Well said. Tell me what it means for you to be able to say that you served your country.
I'm proud. I really am proud of my service to the country. Right now, I even do volunteer work, helping out at USO, helping out at the Freedom Flight, or the Honor Flight, where they fly World War II veterans over to Washington, D.C. I mean, it's just an honor to have served my country, our country, and to help people.